Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Hafiz bin Jumal and my metric number is 1201472. And we are from group number 1 and our topic today will be under the topic of Mudarabah. Let's look at our group members. Our group members actually consist of 7 members. In general, Mudarabah is actually something that commonly used nowadays in Islamic banking system. So what is Mudarabah? Mudarabah actually meaning that partnership in profit, meaning that one party provides capital and one party provides work. The other term is Qirat and Muqaradah. Next, let us look at the legitimacy of Mudarabah. Firstly, in the Quran, there are no specific ayat that tells us about the Mudarabah itself. However, it is verified by Sunnah and Ijma' that Mudarabah does actually exist and valid for Muslim use. Let's look at what our Imams actually said about Mudarabah. So, if we look at Shafi'i does actually agree about on Mudarabah, meaning that Shafi'i agree Mudarabah does valid for Muslim use. That is all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Mushira binti Ahmad. My metric number is 1201464. I want to present on nature of Mudarabah, types of Mudarabah and some components of Mudarabah. Mudarabah is a contract based on fiduciary relationship akad al-amanah. Under this principle, a mudarib manages the Mudarabah asset in trust and is not liable for the impairment which is a result of the mudarib's misconduct, ta'adi, negligent taksir or breach of specified terms, mukhalafah ash-shurut. Any of the contracting parties has the right to terminate the contract unilaterally except in the following conditions. The mudarib has commenced the work relating to the management of the capital of the Rabbul Mal, or the contracting parties have agreed to enter into a Mudarabah contract for a specified time, or the contracting parties have agreed not to terminate the Mudarabah contract within a specified time. Next, they have two types of Mudarabah. First, unrestricted Mudarabah. An unrestricted Mudarabah is a contract in which the Rabbul Mal permits the mudarib to manage the Mudarabah capital without any specific restriction. Second, restricted Mudarabah. A restricted Mudarabah is a contract in which the Rabbul Mal may specify conditions restricting the mudarib, such as the determination of location, period of investment, type of project and commingling of funds. The contracting parties may mutually agree to change the type of Mudarabah they have entered into to another type of Mudarabah at any point in time. Next, components of Mudarabah. For contracting parties, the contracting parties in a Mudarabah are a Rabbul Mal and a Mudarib. Both the Rabbul Mal and the Mudarib must be a natural person or legal entity who shall have legal capacity to perform agency wakalah contract either as a principal or as an agent. Next, the contracting parties in the Mudarabah contract may involve more than one Mudarib or Rabbul Mal. In the case of the Mudarabah involving more than one Rabbul Mal, an agreement among the Rabbul Mal may be established whereby an existing Rabbul Mal agrees to relinquish his right over a certain portion of the profit if he withdraws from the Mudarabah prior to its maturity date, and a new Rabbul Mal agrees to assume liability in respect of the Mudarabah which is already in operation prior to his participation. Any terms or conditions in the Mudarabah contract has been mutually agreed between the Rabbul Mal and Mudarib and does not contravene the Sharia shall be binding on both parties.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nur Ramadan bin Zaini, and today I will present about the Mudarabah from the point of offer, ijab and acceptance qabul. Firstly, Mudarabah contract shall be entered by Rabbul Mal and Mudarib in terms of offer and acceptance. Secondly, the offer and acceptance can be made verbally, in writing, or any methods which could be evidenced by appropriate documentation or record. In terms of the management of Mudarabah, firstly, Mudarib have the right to manage the Mudarabah venture. Secondly, the Mudarib has a responsibility to ensure the proper management of the Mudarabah venture, and he needs to act in interest of the Rabbul Mal. Next, the Mudarib mandates shall be provided under the contract of the Mudarabah. The Mudarib may assign the Mudarabah capital under his management to another Mudarib is another Mudarabah or to agent subject to the condition of the consent of the Rabbul Mal is obtained. The Rabbul Mal have no right to involve in Mudarabah venture, but have the right to access the reasonable information regarding the Mudarabah venture. So that's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nazra binti Nazli. My number matric is 1201466. Next, I will explain about the capital of Mudarabah. Okay, firstly, capital is an asset provided by a Rabbul Mal to a Mudarib for the purpose of a Mudarabah venture. The capital of Mudarabah should be provided by the Rabbul Mal and managed by the Mudarib. The capital should be identifiable, readily available and accessible for the Mudarib to commerce business activities. The capital also may be in the forms of cash or in kind, including intangible assets. Next, where the capital is in kind, it should be a value in the monetary terms, either by agreement between the contracting parties or by the third party, which may include expert, valuers, or any qualified person at the same time of entering into a Mudarabah contract. Next, where the capital is denominated in a different currency, it should be valued based on a specific currency as agreed by the contracting parties at the time of entering into the Mudarabah contracts. All forms of debt should not qualify as capital, including all accounts, receivable, and payment due to the Rabbul Mal, either from the Mudaribs or a third party. All remaining capital should be returned to the Rabbul Mal, if any, upon dissolution or termination of the Mudarabah contracts. Next, the Mudarib should not guarantee the capital except in the case of his misconduct, ta'di, negligence, taksir, or breach of specific terms, mukhlafa al-shuruts. Then, the Mudarabah contracts may provide for the gradual withdrawal of capital by the Rabbul Mal during the tenure of the Mudarabah contracts, unless stated otherwise. The Mudarib may inject his own funds into the capital subject to the consent of the Rabbul Mal, and has a musyarakah contract is formed between the Mudarib as partner under musyarakah and the Mudarabah venture. Then, where a Rabbul Mal failed to provide capital as agreed under Mudarabah contracts, defaulting Rabbul Mal. In the case where the defaulting Rabbul Mal has not paid the capital within the time stipulated in the Mudarabah contracts, the contracting parties may unilaterally terminate the contracts. If the Mudarib has commenced work, the Rabbul Mal has to reimburse the Mudarib for any Mudarabah expenditure incurred and pay the Mudarib fee and reasonable wages or fees. Furthermore, in the case of Mudarabah, contracts involves one Mudarib and multiple Rabbul Mal with staggered capital payment by each or some of the Rabbul Mal, and with one or more Rabbul Mal fail to make the subsequent capital payment. The non-defaulting contracting party should have the following remedies, including first, requiring the defaulting Rabbul Mal to sell his interest to the other Rabbul Mal or to a third party. Second, the non-defaulting contracting parties may agree to revise the Mudarabah contracts based on actual capital paid. Or third, the non-defaulting contracting parties may terminate the Mudarabah contracts with the defaulting Rabbul Mal and may, based on agreed terms, require him to indemnify the Mudarabah venture for any expenses incurred due to his default.
Next, I will share about profit of contract Mudarabah. Profit sharing is the primary motive of a Mudarabah contract, and therefore it is fundamental component of the contract. A Mudarabah profit is the value created over and above the capital, which is determined based on methodology acceptable by market conventions or practice. A Rabbul Mal and a Mudarib shall share profit based on a ratio mutually agreed between them. The profit sharing ratio shall be determined at the time of entering into a Mudarabah contract. Next, a revision of profit sharing ratio shall be mutually agreed by the Rabbul Mal and the Mudarib. The Mudarabah contract shall not stipulate a predetermined fixed amount of profit to one contracting party, which deprives the profit share of the other contracting party. The ex-performance profit amount may be translated into a fixed percentage yield of the capital. In a multi-tier Mudarabah, 2 or more profit-sharing arrangements may be agreed upon. In the first tier, a Rabbul Mal and a Mudarib may agree on a certain profit-sharing ratio, whilst in the second tier, the Rabbul Mal of Mudarib in the first tier Mudarabah and the other Mudarib may agree on another profit-sharing ratio. Next, the Rabbul Mal and the Mudarib may agree on profit-sharing ratio based on a specified profit threshold. In the event that, first, the actual profit is equivalent or below the threshold, the profit should be shared based on the agreed profit-sharing ratio. Second, the actual profit exceeds the threshold. The excess amount may be distributed based on a different profit-sharing ratio agreed by the parties or paid to any of the contracting parties as agreed. In a single Mudarabah contract involving more than one Mudarib, a common profit-sharing ratio is agreed between the Rabbul Mal and all the Mudarib. All Mudarib shall share the Mudarib's profit portion as per the agreed terms.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hanani binti Yusuf. My metric number is 1201488. Next, profit should be recognized based on the following methodology. A. Realized basis actual liquidation of assets of the Mudarabah, partnership or Tandi al-Hakiki. Or B. Constructive basis according to acceptable profit recognition method, which may include valuation according to acceptable market methodology, independent valuation or valuation based on estimate figure or Tandi al-Hukmi. Next, the profit shall be distributed upon the maturity of a Mudarabah venture or at an agreed period. Unrealized gains recognized during the Mudarabah tenure should be recognized as the profit and be included in the profit and loss calculation for the Mudarabah. A Mudarib is only entitled to the profit for works are integral to the Mudarabah venture and shall not earn any additional fee for such works. A Rabbul Mal may commission a Mudarib for a fee to perform works apart from the works integral to a Mudarabah venture. Loss shall be borne by a Rabbul Mal up to the capital value. A Mudarib shall not be liable for any impairment of asset unless such loss is due to Mudarib in misconduct, ta'addi, negligence, ta'sir or breach of specific terms muqallah al-shurut of the contract. In the case of multiple Rabbul Mal in single Mudarabah, the loss shall be borne by each Rabbul Mal proportionate to his capital contribution. In the case where a Mudarib commingles or inject its own fund to a Mudarabah venture, the loss shall be borne based on the proportion of the Mudarib capital contribution in the commingled fund. Dissolution of Mudarabah. Mudarabah contract is dissolved under the following circumstances. A. Unilateral termination by any of the parties in the absence of any prohibitive circumstances. B. Unilateral termination by any of the parties due to misconduct, ta'addi, negligence, ta'sir or breach of specific term muqallah al-shurut a contract by the other. C. Mutual agreement to terminate the Mudarabah contract between the parties. D. The Mudarabah contract expires upon the maturity date agreed by the parties. E. The means of dissolution or of either a Mudarib or Rabbul Mal. F. Loss of legal capacity or G. Invalidity of the Mudarabah.
Okay, next we move to the application of Mudarabah in Malaysia. For our information, in Malaysia we have varieties of Mudarabah's application. Here there is 2 types of Mudarabah application in Malaysia. First is from the side of banking and the second one is from the side of takaful. Among the banking products, they use this contract at the Maybank Premier Mudarabah Account I as an investment account. It's open for the purpose of conducting stock transactions. The balance of the account will be invested by the bank in Sharia compliant investments, and the profit will be shared. It is a Mudarabah investment and the profit sharing of this account is 60/40. 60% is given to the account owner and the 40% is given to the Maybank. Then, from the side of takaful, it's applied at the end of the takaful period, as stated in the schedule of homeowners account under the company's general takaful fund. This is stated in the Takaful Act 1984. If there is a surplus or profit, the surplus will be divided between the participant and Etika Takaful Berhad based on Al-Mudarabah principle according to the ratio 50% for the participant and 50% for Etika and Takaful. In a nutshell, Mudarabah is a solely Sharia-based transaction in modern times. The classical application of the Mudarabah contract has been extended to cover various businesses. However, full potential Mudarabah technique of financing not yet been realized. It is understood that various obstacles and hindrances have impeded the successful implementation of PLS contract in general and Mudarabah in particular. In addition, practicing Mudarabah is more difficult compared to Musyarakah and so on, since in Mudarabah bank does not have any involvement in venture and the management will be left solely to the Mudarib. Consequently, high confidence on the ability of the mudarib to manage the businesses is extremely needed.